Hi, I'm Susan Lipp, Editor-in-Chief of Trust and Estates magazine. I'm here today with Alan Breus from the Breus Group, who's come all the way from San Diego, California to be with us. Alan, what are the complications that can arise when you're appraising illegal assets?
First, let me give you an idea as to really what illegal assets are. Illegal assets are not necessarily stolen, although that is a part of it. They're assets that cannot be sold. One of the issues lately has been how do you appraise these assets? And to start with, an appraisal using the individual who says, willing buyer, willing seller. Well, illegal assets like ivory or parts of birds, because there are acts that suggest that they cannot be sold, Indian artifacts. These illegal assets do have a market. The problem is it may be an illicit market. In the Sonnabend case with the eagle, which I've mentioned in the article, the Internal Revenue Service looked at the issue and said, although the estate valued the painting, the Rauschenberg painting, at zero, they said it was worth $65 million because it was an iconic piece and it really had so much value, and they decided that they would tell the Sonnabends that thank you very much, but you owe us $41 million between the taxes and the fines. From a personal standpoint, I've dealt with ivory as an instance recently. Ivory is not allowed to be sold in the United States. There's a prohibition. An estate looks at the ivory and says, well, this is valueless, when they're doing an estate value, and that's not necessarily true. There is a fair market value. The question then is, what is the marketable value? And this is where I think the trusts and estates people really have an issue to face. When they're looking at an item, I value it for Internal Revenue Service. What they want to do now is determine, prior to the death, what should happen with that asset. Should it be maintained? Should it be retained? Frankly, it should be donated. It takes it out of the estate. If I do qualify the asset as something that does have fair market value, they're going to get a deduction. And everybody gets something out of the approach. If they leave it in the estate, as with the Sonnabends, as with the ivory, as with other articles I've seen, the Quinlanberg, for instance, I don't know if you're familiar with the Joseph Medor, stole $200 million worth of church items during the Second World War. He died about 10 years ago. Maybe less, but it was in the range, and left an estate that suddenly was worth $200 million. And the heirs said, but we can't sell it. And the Internal Revenue Service said, I'm sorry, but it's $200 million. I think the Internal Revenue Service eventually decided that the sale back to the church, a finder's fee as such for the family, of $2.5 million established a current fair market value. But I believe that in terms of the people that are reading the magazine and hearing this interview, proactive thought is important. Being proactive and looking at the estate of their people, the client, and saying this is something that has to be addressed prior to death. That's really the approach that I think is most important and is neglected because people don't really think about it.
Right. All right, well, thank you, Alan. And to read more information on this topic and some of Alan's articles, go to wealthmanagement.com.